You are listening to Pivot Parenting, episode 200, Our Parental Nervous System. Welcome to Pivot Parenting, the place where we recognize when your parental role needs to shift and how to do it. I'm your host and parenting expert, Heather Frazier. Hey, welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited with more details for you. How I Fixed My Teen book launch party. March 2nd, that's a Saturday in Provo at the Riverwoods Mall. If you guys know where that is, it's like right at the mouth of Provo Canyon at Soul Boutique, one of my favorite local shops. I always head there. It's just super close, convenient, and they have the cutest stuff if I need anything for myself or my girls. I especially like their shoes. They have clothes, accessories, shoes, and then if I need a baby gift too, they have really cute baby stuff. I got my grandbaby some books there and toys to stay quiet at church. They also have really cute infant clothing. Oh, and I just got her the best little spoons down there too. It's one of my favorites. That's Saturday from 11 to 1. So midday, grab your mom, your girlfriends, your daughters, your husband, basically anybody. Come down. The owner of Soul is giving everybody 20% off of one item, which is fantastic. She usually doesn't have sales often. And so you can get something for 20% off. Her jewelry is also really, really cute. My girls love that. And then I am giving you the free audio file if you come to the party. And if you've already got the audio file, then I'll send you the digital file. I really want you to be there if you can make it. Make a day of it. Go to lunch. There's some really great restaurants down there. I personally, if you're in the mood for a burger, Seven Brothers is amazing. I like the one with the pineapple and the onion rings on it. So that's March 2nd. I would really love to see you there. I'm also got another little surprise for you. I'm going to be signing books. I'll have a bunch of hard copies there. Of course, you can buy all the good things. So I would love for you to come, get your 20% off of something at Soul. Take a picture with me, chat with me, get your book, I'll sign it. We can take selfies, all the fun things, and you'll get the free audio or digital if you already have the audio. And of course, if you can't make it, I know that not everybody is close by. You can pre-order my book and you'll still get it signed and you'll still get the audio, which I'm sending out. I've already sent out to all the pre-orders thus far. It's done. So if you order my book today, you're going to get the audio for free. But that is coming to a close because the book is shortly in hand, my friends. So it's the end of January 2024. Pre-orders are going to close in just another week or two. You definitely want the audio because I do a really great job of reading it. I like to be read to. If you like to be read to, come to the party or pre-order. And I love giving you everything possible to help you with your family. When you buy my book on my website, you can add the Family Connection Design course for way too cheap for me to even say. But it's the only place you'll ever see my $179 course at this price, like ever. It's well under $100, just so you know. It's insanely cheap. And so if you come to my party or if you order my book on my website, you're going to be able to get Family Connection Design course, which everybody is raving about. And the course includes a monthly office hours call. So it includes once a month coaching with me. Or listening to coaching. Sometimes that's even more helpful because you're not in the hot seat. And maybe you're doing something similar, but you can just sit and learn instead of having to be uncomfortable getting coached, even though I'm really nice. But I do love my clients, and I do love to tell them the truth, because that's the only thing that we can do to help one another. So you definitely want my book, How I Fixed My Teen, and all the bonuses that come with it. Come to my launch party on March 2nd in Provo at Soul Boutique if you can. If you can't, I totally understand. Order it on my website, heatherfraser.com, and you'll get all kinds of bonuses and fun things. But today is brought to you by the buzzword triggered. Today's episode is brought to you by the buzzword triggered. I have a lot of thoughts about buzzwords. For the most part, I think they're really good and they get a bad rap. It's like we're all becoming group aware of something and learning about it and exploring it. Sometimes it goes too far, but being triggered is something that we actually all do, whether we like that word or not, because nobody is without wounds. Some more than others. Some people like the word trauma, some don't find it helpful or relatable. Sometimes I'll be coaching a client and we'll be talking about things and I'll use that word and they'll be like, oh, nope, I don't have any trauma. I was never abused. I was never, in a really bad car accident. Like, I don't relate to that word, which is fine. But we all have wounds or hurts. We actually can't avoid them. So any way you slice it, we have experiences, and those experiences inform our brains, nervous systems, what is safe and what is not. Let me give you an example. At the age of 3 or 4, I know it was before kindergarten, and I remember it very, very, very distinctly. I had lazy eye as a little girl, and I had to wear a patch. And I remember not liking the patch because people would look at me really weird. So then I had to wear glasses, and I would hide my glasses. I went through several pairs. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I went through several pairs of glasses because I would hide them, and I would hide them good. And so then they'd have to buy me a new pair, or they would get broken. But because I wouldn't really do what I was supposed to, I had to have surgery. In fact, I had 3 surgeries on my eye, and I have a scar on my eyeball. When I was in my teens and early 20s, people sometimes thought that I was high because my eye looks kind of pink. But I don't do drugs. I just have a scar. And it was really traumatic. During one of these surgeries, the nurses told me that I could pick the flavor of like the gas mask that would help me go to sleep before the surgery. I chose butterscotch, very exciting. I was excited for that. But then I put the mask on and they said, you can hold it if you keep it on your face. You can hold it by yourself. And of course, you know how little kids think that they're so sneaky. Well, I realized I didn't like the smell. It did not smell good, even though there was like a sickly sweet butterscotch essence to it. And so I just would hold my breath and then kind of like open it a little bit to the side and get some fresh air and then put it back on my face really quick. Well, of course, I did not fool any of the nurses. And so a couple times of me doing that, and they just held me down and held it on my mask until I passed out. They held the mask on me. And that was terrifying to have myself fighting off their limbs because I didn't want to breathe this gross air, and then I passed out. I didn't like that. Fast forward several years, and I'm now in high school in AP biology. And I walk into class. I don't know what kind of lab we were having that day or what was going on, but I walk into class and panic sets in. Like, I wanted to run from the room and I didn't know why. And then I realized the smell. It's the smell. It's the same smell. Fortunately, I didn't flip all the way into a full-on panic attack or run from the room although that would have been completely understandable, although I would have been embarrassed then. But the smell triggered me, and my body remembered that that was dangerous and scary. And also, I still hate butterscotch. I've never liked butterscotch ever since. But I was so triggered that without even conscious awareness, my body went into flight. I wanted to run. This is why understanding trauma is so important. In the coaching world, people often teach that your thoughts create emotions which drive your actions. And this is true, but this is incomplete. Our nervous system also drives actions without any thoughts. Our nervous system, when it senses danger, can hijack our thinking brain. And we're running, fighting, freezing, or hiding without even thinking about it. So today, there are two main concepts I want to touch on to give you a really basic understanding of how your nervous system plays into your daily interactions and parenting. Today's going to be more of an informational episode. I'm not really going to tell you a lot of what to do because it's so nuanced. And when working with triggers or wounds, it's definitely not one size fits all. So I'm going to give you guys some information. Oftentimes, that's enough that we can help ourselves or know that we need to seek help. So the two ways that our nervous system can play out in our parenting is because of things that have happened or that never happened in your past. And that's our nervous system. It's like if your parent was never kind to you, or they never celebrated your birthday, or they never said I love you, or gave you hugs, or gave you the financial support that you needed growing up, and you didn't have, you had to scavenge for your own food or clothing. Things that have happened or never happened that should have in your past. Those create wounds or traumas within us, and our nervous system remembers those things. And then number two, because of your brain's primal wiring working against what you consciously want. It's called the emotional triad. It's a thing. And sometimes the two can appear the same, but a trained eye can see the difference so that you get the clarity you need to properly address what's going on. It's kind of like the difference when you go to the doctor and they're like, well, you have a bacterial infection or you have a viral infection. The treatments are very different, even though it's hard to tell what's going on at first glance. My nose is stuffy. I have a cough. I'm finally feeling better, you guys. I've been sick since November. It's now the end of January. My cough is almost gone. I'm so pumped about that. But I had to go to the doctor and they're like, well, we think it's viral or we think it's bacterial. And then the drugs would be specific to what they thought it was. So number one, our nervous system. There are 4 categories that can kick in when we're told something is dangerous. When our brain is saying, danger, danger, we have fight. This sounds like yelling and arguing. Our kids really like going into this one oftentimes. They will fight until the sun comes up because they want what they want and they want it at all costs because their friends have it and it's very important to their social survival. Parents also do this. Everybody can click into flight. Usually people kind of have their 1 or 2 favorite responses. Flight. This was my favorite response. To please everyone, to fix everything, to fit in. Feels like you're running from fire to fire and you can't ever stop. You can't ever rest. Because there's always something. It's almost like I'm not good enough if I'm not productive. If you tell yourself, I'm only valuable if I get all the things done, you're probably in flight. Then there's freeze, which is completely shutting down. So if you're totally avoiding your teen, That's a freeze response. Doesn't mean that you're like a deer in the headlights where you just stop and you're immobilized. Sometimes that can happen, but usually it's like psychological or interactive. So you're totally avoiding someone, or your brain is completely caught in a loop. Like it's just replaying the same thing over and over and over, and it's too distracting to really like do your daily to-dos. And then there's fawn. This is a relatively new one to join the party, but it's really important. Some people say it's a subset of freeze, but either way, it looks the same. It's to be liked, usually at you or your teen's expense. You're people-pleasing. You're faking it. You're lying to everyone because to be honest is dangerous. So let's just not tell Dad. Or can you just please change your clothes so that Grandma doesn't nag us about how short they are? Or getting your teen and their friends to like you by breaking rules and doing things that you know you shouldn't. Those are fawn responses. Many of us are completely unaware of when we respond in any one of these ways. It's just normal. I didn't realize how triggered or dysregulated I always was because I was always in like flight or fawn. But when I heard the symptoms of what they actually look like, I realized it wasn't my personality, and I was just trying to stay safe. I was trying to get people to like me so I would feel accepted so that I was safe. It's not just normal when they're late again and we're really annoyed, so we yell or we don't give them their consequence because we don't want them to yell. If we're doing anything to avoid an uncomfortable conversation, or we're yelling during that conversation, or we're almost addicted to running from fire to fire because we can't sit still, or we just sit still and the world is rushing past us, very scary, and we're afraid to join in, chances are your nervous system is at play. Let's look at the second way that our brain informs our parenting, which is the motivational triad. It is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. It's like a little triangle. So seeking pleasure can often look like overeating, over Netflixing, over drinking, overspending, over Instagramming. Be our kid's friend rather than a parent because that feels so much better. It's the part of us that says, just one more. Let's just continue having fun. Let's not be responsible. Then we have the avoid pain. Don't get them mad at us. Just let them break the rule without consequence. Keep your head in the sand to what you suspect they could be doing. Don't have the hard conversation about sex, religion, consent, money, none of that business. Because that would hurt, and we don't even want to know. So let's just stay in La La Land and not really worry about it. And the third leg is conserve energy. This one is when parents say, I'm too busy, or they make excuses for their behavior that they know that they don't like, but they're not changing. It's when we don't improve. But sure, listen to good stuff like this podcast or other helpful podcasts. Have conversations with your friends about all the terrible things going on. But they're really hard to implement. So let's just listen. Let's consume content, have lively conversations, and say that we're trying. Have you guys ever done that? Like, you read all about a new diet or a new system to manage your time, or you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I love what I'm learning and it feels good. You get a dopamine hit from learning new skills. But then it's really hard to like put your shoulder to the wheel and do it. And the motivational triad, the conserve energy part, doesn't like doing that because it takes more energy to try new tricks and to implement things that we have learned. So we'll get the dopamine hit of learning the thing, and then we'll just put it on the shelf and be like, isn't that pretty? Someday I'll get to that. It's also saying yes when you know that you won't, because you don't want to tell them to their face. So when our kids actually do this to us. Hey, I need you to clean your room. Can you do that? Yeah. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes they're just saying it because they want us off their back, but they don't really want to do it. And sometimes we do this to them. Hey, Mom, will you pay for this? And then we're like, yeah. And then we conveniently forget. Can I order this on Amazon? Yeah, later. Okay, so if you put these two things together, the motivational triad and then our nervous system responses, and then you leave them unchecked, you have total mayhem in your life. We all know that person who is all talk. I want to clean out my storage room. I want to get my kid to therapy or a psychologist's eyes on them. I want to save for their college. I want to get myself some help. Maybe they even bought a course or a book, and little to nothing happens for years or months. These are the things that are at play. Our brains are so smart that they help us avoid ourselves, much to our detriment. So what's next? First off, if this lands, congratulations, you have a healthy brain. Don't feel bad or shame yourself. That's actually going to keep you stuck longer. Just accept that you're healthy, that you have a brain that functions like everybody else's, and it's not a problem. We all do these things to varying degrees because we are all human. That's why I want to bring it to your awareness, because once the smartest part of your brain sees what's going on, then it can stand up and be the director of the show instead of these more primal subconscious instincts. When we can see more clearly what's happening, we can redirect our brains and comfort that worried little part of us that is trying to protect us. If we're triggered, it's trying to protect us from what was once dangerous. Because, my friend, our nervous system is part of our brain. And our brain is developing in utero all the way until the average age of 25. So these deep-rooted triggers, wounds, traumas, they were given to us as children. So just like myself, that smell of the gas mask and butterscotch make me feel unsafe. But I'm an adult now, so I could have run from the AP biology class. I might have gotten some weird looks, maybe even detention. But I was able to do that for myself because I was no longer 3. They couldn't outpower me. Does that make sense? And even more so now as an adult, I can choose not to be in a classroom. I never have to even go into a chemistry classroom or biology classroom where that smell exists. Or I can heal that wound and recognize that I'm now safe, which is what we want to do if we have these triggers or wounds. Oftentimes we need a therapist or a trauma-informed coach to help you unwind and heal so that we don't slip into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn when our brain is used to seeing something as a threat. So like for children with parents who are really judgmental and harsh, as an adult, they're going to want to do anything to avoid that. So they're going to be very permissive. potentially, right? There's about 1,000 things we can go. This is one common way that it can go. So if our parents were really punitive, we probably hid things from them as a kid or just yielded to what they wanted us to do because we didn't want to be yelled at or rejected. And so then with our kids, well, we don't want them to yell at us, especially if they're a strong personality. We don't want them to yell at us or reject us, so we're not going to follow through with rules and consequences. That is an unhealed wound that we need to figure out so that then we can parent better, because actually kids need rules and consequences. Not all over the place, but they need some basic safety structures, especially depending on their age, right? As they get older, that becomes less. But our kids need us to be good parents, which means we need to heal our wounds and understand why we're doing the things that we are doing. Again, we all have wounds or traumas. This doesn't have to mean anything terrible happened, or maybe it did. This simply means that something happened and our brains kept track that anything similar is dangerous, and now it warns us to keep us safe. We actually want and need this part of us. We just need to recognize and consciously decide what is now dangerous and what isn't, so that then we can act accordingly. We want to include our prefrontal cortex. This is the smartest part of our brain. This is the part of our brain that can plan, that can look for the future, and that can override these other parts of our brain when we are aware of it, potentially. Sometimes it can't, and that's okay. That's why there are professionals to help us heal those parts. If it's our motivational triad trying to help us out, that's just evolutionary. That's because for eons of time, it took a lot of work just to have food and shelter. And so we really needed to want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy, because that's how we populated the world. That is how we didn't run ourselves into the ground, because there is a lot to do, right? To build shelter and gain food. Again, when our brains try to convince us that we need to behave a certain way for our and our family's good, like avoiding pain or seeking pleasure, sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. We've got to look at it and make an educated assessment, not an emotional one. And our brains are really, really sneaky when it comes to the emotional triad. It will say, oh, I don't have time for that. Or I don't know how to do that. It's so confusing. It will keep us confused so that we don't exert the energy and do the hard, uncomfortable thing of like having the conversation or learning the skill. It's too confusing. I just don't understand. That's typically not true. Typically, we can break things down one by one, baby steps. Sometimes when I don't want to go work out and this part of my brain really just wants to seek pleasure and avoid the pain of a workout, I have to trick it. I have to say, well, we're not going to go to the gym. I'm just going to put on these specific clothes. And that's easy enough. I can put on the clothes. And then I'll say, no, we're not going to work out. We're just going to put on these socks and shoes right here. Then after that, we're going to grab the car keys. That's all. And then I do that. I'm like, we're just filling up a water bottle and we're going to get in the car. And then before I know it, I'm at the gym. And then if I'm really saying like, I don't want to do this, then I'll just say, we're just going to go get on the treadmill. We don't even have to run necessarily, or the Stairmaster. Let's just try it out. And then before I know it, I'm done with my workout and it wasn't that bad. But sometimes this part of our brain really, really, really has its teeth into us. So you can trick it. Like, no. I'm not going to schedule my kid with 5 different therapists, which, by the way, you really have to shop around. If you've had an experience with one therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, coach, whatever, and you're like, no, it didn't work. That's a lie. You just didn't find the right one. So you have to shop around. It's like trying on shoes. In fact, a lot of times when people come on consults with me, if I feel it appropriate, I will say, shop around. How many other coaches have you met with? I want this to be a good fit. I don't want to work with somebody that thinks, I don't really get how she's teaching or what's going on. That's not a good fit. You have to shop around. You have to look at different people and how they teach and talk. And that doesn't mean that it's too hard or that you can't do it. You can just trick your brain. Oh, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes Googling different options that could work. Oh, I'm just going to call and make these 3 appointments. See if they even have space. If we can baby step it, we can often outsmart this part of our brain. All right, my friend, my pivot for you this week is to pay attention to why you're doing things or avoiding things. If it feels urgent, graspy, super emotionally charged, not enough, unless there really is a fire, chances are one of these things are at play. Either the motivational triad or your nervous system kicking into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Again, if it feels really emotionally charged, have a good look. Ask yourself, is it best long-term to not follow through with the consequences, to not have the hard conversation, not seek the help that is needed before we hit rock bottom? I would love to help you understand and unwind whatever is going on for you. Grab a free consult call with me. I'm not actually, again, I don't want a blanket statement, any additional pivot beyond self-awareness. This isn't something that is really great advice to give on, like on a general scale. Often awareness is all that you need if it's a small shift to make. If it's a bigger shift, I really advise you to seek somebody who understands triggers and the emotional triad well, so that they can help you discern and point you in the right direction. So this is what I have for you, my friends. I encourage you just for the next week to observe. Just see what's going on. And in the meantime, also put on the calendar March 2nd, Soul Boutique in the Riverwoods Mall. I want to come see you from 11 to 1. And if you can't make it, then hit heatherfraser.com and grab my book. Okay, you guys, that's what I have for you. I will talk to you next week.